In the previous video, we made our web page flexible. But what about CSS? The CSS should also be flexible. As we know that a CSS can be internal or external, and we know the advantages of the external CSS file. We can link that file with other web pages and the size of the whole website becomes smaller. So why not use CSS file external in our web page so that then we can link that file to other web pages. Let's take a look at our code view. In the code, you can see that all the style rules which we have applied in our web page are present in the head tag of the HTML. Here you can see that all the CSS rules are embedded in our HTML coding. And this is the example of the internal CSS. But we want this CSS to be external, so then we can utilize the advantages of the external CSS. Let's take a look at the CSS designer panel. Here you can see that a stylesheet.css file is present here. When we were working on the web fonts, then this stylesheet CSS file automatically created. And look at the content of this file, and it has the font face selector. And if I click on the style, then you can see that our all selectors are present in the style, and the style is the tag which is starting from here, which you can see in the code view. And let me show you that where this style sheet CSS file was created. Let's come to the files panel, and before that, look at here. Here you can see that the link of that CSS file, and then you can see that it is in the web fonts folder, and then it's the font name folder, and then it has access with the stylesheet.css file. As we are in files panel, here you can see that a web fonts folder, and in the web fonts you can see this folder. Open this folder, and here you can see that CSS file is existing here. If I minimize the Dreamweaver, and let's take a look at our first website folder, and then in this folder, here you can see that a web fonts folder, and in the web fonts folder, there you can see that the style sheet is present. And what do I want? I want all the CSS rules to be moved into the style sheet CSS file, so that this file can be externally linked with our web page. So for this, come to the CSS designer, and I want all of these CSS rules to be moved in the style sheet CSS file. So for this, just click and drag them onto the style sheet CSS file, and then release your mouse button, and then here you can see that all our CSS rules has been moved in this style sheet CSS file. If I click on it, then you can see that all of our rules are present here. And look at the code view. All of our CSS rules which were present in the style tag has been moved into the style sheet CSS file. And you can see that style sheet CSS file. If I click on it, then you can see that all the CSS rules are present here. Let's come to the design view, and here you can see that everything is fit and fine, and nothing has happened to our web page. And we know that this CSS file is in the fonts folder, but to make an organized website, we should have to make another separate CSS folder where all the CSS files exist. Let's come to the files panel, and here you can see that our style sheet CSS file exists in the fonts folder. Just right click on it, and in the edit, select cut and minimize these folders, and click on the site folder, and just right click and create a new folder here. Just name it as CSS. Hit the enter key, and just right click on the folder, and in the edit, select the paste. And a dialog box will pop up and will ask you to update the links with other files, and just select here, and now you can see that our CSS file is in a separate folder and we can use this single CSS file with multiple pages. And also take a look at the code view, and here you can see that our CSS file link has been updated automatically. As we have separated CSS file, now let's take a look at my first website folder at the desktop. And here you can see that our CSS file is present in the CSS folder. So this is well organized website, and we have separate CSS file which we can use with the multiple pages.